Dating in America. Women, what do you bring to the table? How to answer this question. Video number 12. What do you bring to the table? What do you have to offer? Why should he pick you over all the other women? Now, today, you hear many men in America and Western Europe asking this question, and many women become upset and find such a question offensive. However, I will explain why this question is really an anger response from men. I will also explain how to answer this question. I will give you a hint. It has nothing to do with money. Before we start, this is for people living in the United States. I put this in the front of all my videos that are in English because I want to help people with their student loans. I know many people think, feel, or believe that they will never pay off their student loans. Yes, they are right. They are correct. There are over 2 million people over the age of 60 that are still paying off their student loans. There is a federal law that was passed in the 80s that will get rid of all your student loans in 25 years. The link to this video is at the top of this video, in the description below, and will be at the end of this video. I am walking around South Greenwood Avenue in Blue Island, Illinois. This town is right next to Chicago, Illinois. 30% of the people who live here are black, 20% are white, and 50% are Latino. The homes in this town cost between $200,000 and $600,000. Many people think that people from Latin America or Mexico are poor. Now you know this is not true. This home cost $350,000. It has 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and a finished basement. The correct answer has to do with the following 4 questions that many women never ask themselves. I would argue that this could be one of the reasons why so many women file for divorce, and not the man. Question 1. As a woman, do I want a man who is kind, caring, considerate, and understanding? A man that will think about you, think about your feelings, and think about what might hurt you. A man that would like to make you happy. Question 2. Am I a woman who is considerate, kind, understanding, and tender when I talk? If you are a woman that is considerate, kind, and understanding, how do you show this to your boyfriend or husband? Question 3. Is a man who is considerate, kind, and understanding less important than a man that can afford to buy a woman a nice dinner? If the man asks the woman where she will like to go for the date, does this show that he is a considerate person? Question number 4. What kind of person can you live with on a day-to-day basis? What kind of person do you want to come home to? In America, many women inform men regarding the requirements a man must have before she will consider dating or marrying him. Most of these requirements are the requirements that most women have all over the world. The main requirement is that a man has to have an income high enough to take care of her and any children they have. This is a fair requirement that all men understand. For some couples, it is the woman that stays at home and takes care of the children, and it is the man that works and brings home the income for the family. The problem is that in America, many couples, both the man and the woman, have to work to earn enough money to take care of the family. However, many women in America want the man to have it all before they will consider dating or marrying him. Many American women do not want to build something together. This gives the impression to many men that many women are not interested in the man, but only interested in what the man can do for the woman. Thus, these women sound like they want to be a trophy wife. Then many women will say that they do not want to be a trophy wife. They just want a man to be equal to them in income and status. Most men believe that anything regarding status is ridiculous, not important, and thus should not even be considered. This is because a good man or a nice guy only care about what their woman and family think of him, and do not care about what others think of him. He does not have to live with anyone else but his wife and family. Others are not paying the bills. So why should we care about what other people think? The thing that is truly upsetting to many men is the fact that women who are not earning over $100,000 a year want a man to be earning over $100,000 a year before she would consider dating or marrying a man. Thus, most of these women's income is nowhere near the level of what they require from a man. Plus, many of these women have so much debt that you might as well say that her income is zero. When a man hears this, We think to ourselves that we worked hard and sacrificed a lot to get to this level, and now someone wants to come into our life and enjoy all we built by ourselves. These women are not interested in us, but what the man can do for them. Therefore, men ask the question of if we have to be earning over $100,000, then what you offer, or what do you bring to the table? Why should he pick you over all the other women? Plus, most men do not make over $100,000 a year. Thus, no matter how good of a person we are, we have no chance of getting married and having a family. Most men will leave these kinds of women alone because men know that we can never make these kinds of women happy, and these kinds of women will never be happy with us. These kinds of women will always feel like they are settling. Because of this, will one day file for divorce. When we men ask a woman what she brings to the table, or what does she has to offer, we men want to know what she values. What are her top priorities for a relationship? This is a reasonable question. Earning over $100,000 a year means that her top priorities are money, and not who we are as a person. Women in the Philippines were asked the same question, what do you bring to the table? None of the answers these women provided had anything to do with money. Women in Southeast Asia top priorities for a relationship has nothing to do with money. I will leave a link to this video in the description below. Thus, many women in America and Western Europe top priorities are not a man that will not cheat, not a gentle man, not a loving and caring man, not a man she can live with on a day-to-day basis, but money. There are a lot of great women in America that do not have such high requirements, but it seems like many men in America only encounter women that have requirements that many men find difficult or impossible to fulfill. Let me tell you a story. Back in the 1980s, when I was in college, I was at a party with my friend, whose name was Mark. Mark is white. There was a girl named Beth who was also white. Beth told us that she would only date a man that has a car, a motorcycle, his own apartment, and she mentioned a few other requirements. I, Mark, and a few other men asked Beth the following question. If the man has to have all of those things, then what do you offer? What do you bring to the table? Beth never answered the question. However, Mark and a few other men who were white were upset or a little angry at Beth's requirements. None of the men at the party, and most of the men in college, could ever meet Beth's requirements, and the men that could, we all knew it was the man's father that was paying for all of those things. Plus, there was no guarantee that without his father's money that after the man graduated college, he would make enough money to pay for such a lifestyle. I had a lot of white friends that came from rich families, and the women from these families never had such requirements. Most of these women just wanted a good-looking man that was nice. It did not matter if the girl came from a broken family, if the girl came from a family where the parents are divorced, a single mother household, or a two-parent household. It was always the girls that came from poor to middle-class backgrounds that had these requirements. I knew girls who came from a middle-class, two-parent household where the mother was telling the girl to marry a guy that was rich or could be rich. The requirements that many women have before they will consider dating or marrying a man in America today, more than 80% of men cannot attain. Because of this, like back in the 80s, many men become upset and a little angry. Because of all of this, now, today, you hear many men asking this question. And then many women become upset and find such a question offensive. However, none of the women have ever said why such a question makes them upset or why they find such a question offensive. The women that attempt to answer this question give the following answers. The women answered by saying that they have a good education, are highly educated, have a good job, make a good living, have a house, and a car, etc. Men do not care about any of these things, and none of these things tell us who you are, or if you are a good person. Now, let me sum it all up. A woman's education is not important to most men. A woman's job is not important to most men. How much money a woman has is not important to most men. If the woman has a car or a house is not important to most men. If the woman can or cannot speak good English is not important to most men. So what women care about and what men care about are completely different. If these things are not important to most men, then what are men looking for? What is important to most men? Men care about things that are lasting, enduring, that do not change over time. Men do not care about anything relating to status or how we might look in front of others. This is because at the end of the day it is just you and her and no one else. Most men do not care if you are not the prettiest or the most beautiful girl. What we do care about is that you find us attractive, and we also find you attractive. Men do not marry the girl that is the prettiest or the most beautiful. We marry the girl that is best for us. This is the real problem. What does it mean by the girl that is best for us? When a man comes home from work, we like to kiss our wife and play with the kids. We want to be able to relax and enjoy our home with no foolish drama. Yes, we will have fights and disagreements, but this is not foolish drama. What is important is the following. The following is the answer to the question of what do you have to offer or what do you bring to the table. There are many ways to answer this question, but the answer should include the following in some kind of way. Every person who is a nice person, men and women, all has the same thing to offer, which are the following. I will attempt to be caring, I will attempt to be kind, I will attempt to be affectionate, I will attempt to be considerate, and I will attempt to be understanding. I might not always be successful at achieving these goals, but at least I will always try. Now let me tell you what all of this means to a nice guy, or a good man. What does a man bring to the table? What does a man truly have to offer? If the man is a nice guy, then he will give the following. Nice guys are considerate. This means that they do not just think about themselves and what they want, they also think about what the other person would like and what the other person would want. A good leader not only thinks about himself, but he also thinks about all the people who depends or relies on him. So when a man asks a woman what she would like to do, or where she would like to go for the date, he is showing that he is a considerate person. He is showing that he is the kind of person that will think about more than what he wants. In the future, he will also think about what you want, what will make you happy, and what will hurt you. When people treat each other with kindness and are gentle with one another, there is no alpha female, no alpha male, no boss female, no masculine, and no feminine. When people attempt to be understanding with each other, you attempt to understand what will hurt the other person. Thus, it is no longer about you, and it becomes about each other. When you add kindness and understanding together, you show consideration and caring. When you look at gay couples, there is no alpha, there is no boss, there is no masculine, and there is no feminine. At the end of the day, they are just two people. In America, there is a saying that goes, happy wife, happy life. However, many American women take advantage of this. The women overseas also know that most American or Western European men will not cheat, will not hit them, and will attempt to take care of the family. Plus, most American or Western European men are considerate, affectionate, caring, and understanding. Plus, in many Southeast Asia and Eastern European countries, when a couple gets a divorce, the woman gets nothing. Plus, like in the Philippines, there is no such thing as a divorce, and no such thing as child support. In addition, in some Southeast Asia and Eastern European countries, it is not domestic violence unless she bleeds. I have seen some YouTube videos where the man was hitting the woman in a nightclub or on the street, and no one did anything about it. In one YouTube video, there was a black American woman who was dating a Japanese man, and they both worked. However, the man still expected her to cook all the meals, make sure his breakfast was ready, clean the house, and take care of the children. This is the culture in Japan. However, she let him know that she is a black American female, and as a grown man, he can cook his own breakfast. Because of this, many women in these countries know that if she marries a man, she will be in the marriage for a long time. Therefore, her top priority is to find a man that she can live with on a day-to-day basis. Plus, most American or Western European women are used to this kind of treatment, and take it for granted. This is why many women in American or Western European countries have such high requirements regarding dating and marriage. Many women in South America and Southeast Asia are not used to this kind of treatment, and they like it a lot. If you do not want a man that is considerate, a man that thinks about what might make you happy, a man that thinks about what you want, then do not date an American nice guy, a good man. Date an American who is a Tyrone or a Chad. However, if you want to avoid men such as a Tyrone or a Chad, then stop looking or considering a man's income or his job, and start looking at who he is as a person. So what a good man or a nice guy brings to the table is not true love, but real love, which is what many American and Western European women take for granted. Now let me tell you a real life story so you will know what all of this means. Faith and George. The saying that behind a great man is a great woman is true. Here is an example. I had a female friend named Faith, who was 27 years old, and her husband George, who was 24 years old. Yes, George is younger than Faith. Faith is black, and George is white. Faith is a single mother looking for a nice guy. Faith had a college degree and came to Chicago for a job. Her first son stayed with her mother in New Jersey. George did not have a college degree and was working paycheck to paycheck. George was so poor that some days he would skip lunch because he could not afford it. Faith liked George, and she thought George liked her, but George would not make the first move. I explained to Faith that when a man has no money and if he is a nice guy, he will not even try to date. Even if you pay half and he pays half, he still might not be able to pay his half. I do not know what Faith did, but 2 months later, Faith and George were living together in Faith's little studio apartment. Then a year later, they got married and moved into, or lived with Faith's mother. This allowed George to go to school to become a chef. Within 3 years of them meeting, they had a son. 6 years after their son was born, George had saved enough money to where he could make plans to open his own restaurant. Without his woman Faith by his side, George might not have ever been able to do this. Yes, if a woman does what Faith did with George, it is a risk that the man might never make enough income to where the woman can stop working. However, if she marries a Tyrone or a Chad, they could still lose it all. This is why it should be more important to find a partner who she can live with on a day-to-day basis. Now you know what this means. Now you understand the answer to the question of what do you bring to the table? What do you have to offer? We should not ask a woman what she brings to the table. Many YouTube relationship channels are not very good at explaining what men truly want. Plus, we should not use words like submissive, submit, respect, or cooperative. Words like submissive or submit means to conform to your authority or to be obedient. Plus, words like submit causes people to get turned off and stop listening. In addition, we are African Americans and given our history, we should not use words like submit. Instead, we should use words like considerate, kind, gentle, tenderness, and understanding. A person who is considerate, kind, and understanding will take into account your feelings, what would hurt you, and what you would like. When people talk to each other in a gentle or tender way, it makes the other person hear and listen more to what you are saying. Respect can mean different things to different people, and thus is too vague and unclear. I have worked with people who was cooperative, and at the same time, they were not nice people. Plus, one might think that they are being cooperative, and the other might think that they are not being cooperative enough. Thus, this can still result in arguments and fights. Some would call men that attempt to be considerate, kind, and understanding beta men. Yet, all the men I know that do this are in very happy marriages. However, both the man and the woman must always attempt to be considerate, understanding, and kind to each other. So these men are not beta men. Many women thought that I was a beta man, but I always walked away if they were full of self, immature, or delusional. Plus, this helps to eliminate false pride and the need to be right, when you know you are wrong. The following is a repeat of what I already said, but I will restate it because it is important. What we should do instead is ask women the following 4 questions. Question 1. As a woman, do I want a man who is kind, caring, considerate, and understanding? A man that will think about you, think about your feelings, and think about what might hurt you. A man that would like to make you happy. Question 2. Am I a woman who is considerate, kind, understanding, and tender when I talk? If you are a woman that is considerate, kind, and understanding, how do you show this to your boyfriend or husband? Question 3. Is a man who is considerate, kind, and understanding less important than a man that can afford to buy a woman a nice dinner? If the man asks the woman where she will like to go for the date, does this show that he is a considerate person? Question number 4. What kind of person can you live with on a day-to-day basis? What kind of person do you want to come home to? After we ask these 4 questions, we need to explain what each term means. When people treat each other with kindness and are gentle with one another, there is no alpha female, no alpha male, no boss female, no masculine, and no feminine. When people attempt to be understanding with each other, you attempt to understand what will hurt the other person. Thus, it is no longer about you, and it becomes about each other. It becomes about us. When you add kindness and understanding together, you show consideration and caring. When you look at gay couples, there is no alpha, there is no boss, there is no masculine, and there is no feminine. At the end of the day, they are just two people. Therefore, when people talk about relationships, you should not use words like submissive, submit, respect, or cooperative. Thank you for watching. Please click the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and share this video. For all my foreign viewers, most translation software is not 100% accurate. So, sorry about any mistakes. For a free copy of my music, go to my website. Remember, my music is only background music. Right now, my music is free, but if I have to start paying for extra services, then I might have to set a price for a download. If you want to know how to create your own music, then go to my other YouTube channel and look for the word Garageband. Creating your own music is easy. I did it and I cannot play a musical instrument. If you want to know how to translate a video into other languages, then go to my other YouTube channel and look for the word translate. The links are in the description below.